Welcome, everyone, to the Firing the Man podcast. On today's episode, we interview Ken. Now, Ken, 6 months ago, you fired the man, and want to get an update from you on how things are going, and are you glad that you made this move? So let's start here. How have the last 6 months been?
Hey, David. Glad to be on the show today in the podcast studio. It's exciting. So 6 months ago, left my day job, and to now it's been kind of a new chapter, like going from working in, corporate environment for almost 2 decades between the military and government jobs and corporate jobs to working for myself now. It's like I have to keep reminding myself and other, my other people are like, if I'm like, hey, I have to do something, and it's like, no, I make my own schedule. I do whatever I want, whenever I want, and that's kind of taken some time to realize that and to really kind of bring that into focus. So I would just say, it's been great. I'm still easing into it and kind of writing that new chapter, if you will. But it's been exciting, and I'm ready for the ride.
Very nice. Now, what have been some unforeseen things that have come up? Has there been any surprises in self-employment world?
Not really. I when I left my corporate job, I was managing a team and multiple calendars and all this other stuff, and I kind of I left that all behind. So it was almost like we've talked about it before. Like the capacity in my brain was being used up by shit that I didn't care about and I didn't want. Right. So I literally just shut the door on that last chapter, threw all that out, opened up capacity, and I've been hitting it hard. And there's not been really any curveballs. Everybody's like, we're always nervous and anxious, and what about this? What about that? I've got friends and family. All I hear is fear when they talk about that stuff, and there's actually been no curveballs that have really thrown me off track that were earth-shattering or anything. It's been really nice, actually.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned fear, and one topic that always comes up is insurance. People say, oh, I can't leave my job. I've got dental, or whatever. And that was one thing that kind of kept me on the sidelines for a while is, I just get in health insurance through my job, and that's what we use for my family. It's great. Let's put this one to bed. Tell us, how many hours did you spend finding a plan? How much does it cost? And are people justified in worrying about this or placing so much value on the insurance they're getting from their company?
Sure. I've got a kind of a funny story to tell on this one. So if I back up 2 years ago, I was in a mastermind, and it was a group of about 8 of us. 2 people were chairing the mastermind. And so on my list of why I couldn't quit my job or leave my job was insurance, and the 2 people that were chairing the mastermind, them both, by the way, and they both said, if that is your worry, you don't have hardly any worries at all, because those are easy problems to have. And so at the time, that was so high of a priority, oh, well, what about my insurance? So now looking back on that, they were right. Getting insurance, health insurance and dental insurance was it took literally 30 minutes, and it was not hard at all. Now, without getting too far down in the weeds, I had just have insurance for myself, health insurance and dental insurance, and I think I pay I think it was maybe $500, in between $500 and $600 a month for health insurance, and the dental I think was maybe $30 or $40 a month. So, and it literally took me 30 minutes to go on the website, sign up for it. Now, I did a lot of research. I looked for private plans. I looked for, healthcare.gov or .org. I can't remember. I think it's .gov. Go on there. I did all the research. I looked at all the plans, and you can search for your doctors and your dentists and your chiropractors, and it's super easy. And definitely not something if you're, as you're planning to exit your job, that's definitely not something that should be high on your list of things to worry about, at least from my experience.
Yeah, definitely. That echoes my experience recently. I would say I probably have 4 hours invested in the total process of like researching plans. We got one off Healthcaregov. For myself, my wife, and my son, we got a pretty solid plan, and it's $1,100 a month. But I don't know why corporate America has really made insurance seem like this thing that you need to jump through so many hoops to get, and it's so hard to get, and you better not leave us or else you're not going to have insurance. And going through the process, it really wasn't that bad. And so tip of the hat to healthcare.gov.
Yeah, no, I agree, and you're right, and I don't know what this this mystical piece, or this, it's almost like the corporations are kind of putting their thumb on you, kind of holding you down, and after going through that process, you went through it, I went through it. It's not that big of a deal, and it's definitely, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about leaving your job, or you're putting your plan together, like don't let this one kind of hold you back. This is one of the easier hurdles, but it definitely is top of mind for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. And I just wanted to since you're on the other side now, I wanted to kind of dispel that myth that insurance is this really challenging thing to get and going to be crazy expensive. And so anyway, let's talk about, so prior to you firing the man, you were working your full-time job, and then you were working on your Amazon business. And I just, in knowing you, like, you work a lot. You're a hard worker. What have you seen now that your e-commerce business is your sole focus? Are you working more hours per week, less hours per week? What's that like?
So I would say, I'm definitely working less hours per week because I'm not doing both, right? So prior to, going full-time in e-commerce, I was probably working on average 12 hours a day. And then on the weekends, probably between 4 and 8. So now I'm probably doing 8 to 10 a day, and then probably 2 to 4 on the weekends. So definitely less. And my business has really improved because I've been able to focus on doing more things, as well as like deep focus. I want to really research this and really spend a lot of time on it, and I have more capacity to hold on to things versus what I felt before was like my engine was running at 100 miles per hour, but I was just doing things as quickly as possible to get them done, versus really slowing down, thinking methodically, okay, what's going to be the best ROI, how am I going to strategically building this out? No, I was just like going fast as I can. I need to do this, I need to do that, and it's just kind of scrambling. So to answer your question, I'm working less, but all of the work that I'm doing is going to benefit me.
Definitely. You brought up deep focus, and for those of you tuning in on audio only, I am cupping my hands as if I'm trying to hold water, and I feel like deep focus, I have 3 to 4 hours of it every day, but trying to get more is impossible, and it just kind of leaks out through your fingers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like, being able to take that deep focus and apply it all on your business, or what you want to apply to, I think is so critical. Because what about you? Do you have, like, in the mornings, that's when my deep focus, that's when I do my best work. You have something similar?
Yeah, I agree. Early in the morning, nobody else is awake, nobody else is working, and that is my best time to do deep focus. I'm fresh, I've just rested, ready to hit it hard, and I don't have the busyness, of the day. People pinging me, people wanting things, people needing things. So yeah, early morning, I can usually get a couple hours of deep focus in, and then once my day's going on, everybody's in motion, or everything's going good, I'll carve out another couple of hours to really focus on whatever it is that day that I want to spend, a lot of time and effort on it, and really put a solid foot forward versus just kind of scrambling.
So I think one thing that could be challenging is that you're working from home, right? You're working remotely, and it may be hard to unplug. And so I know I see that in my own business. Like if I had a coffee shop, I need to get in my car and drive to that coffee shop in order to work. But with my e-commerce business, my computer is generally within about 50 foot of me all the time. And so it's tempting to go in there and work in the evenings. So what have been some things that you have done to kind of like separate work and life, and any like pro tips on keeping a balance, or things you do throughout the day that kind of freshen your mind?
Sure. Yeah. So this is a constant struggle with me, and it's probably, with a lot of listeners and entrepreneurs, is keeping that balance. So for me personally, every other week, my son lives with me, and so one of the reasons why I wanted to start a business was so that I could spend more time with my children. And so when he's there, I don't work as hard, and I have an intentional focus on spending time with him. And so I will, I kind of build my day around that. So I drive him to school, I pick him up, he has soccer, we hang out, we have dinners together. And so when he's there, I really kind of focus on spending that time with him. And that, that's brought me so much more happiness, and being able to do that makes me feel really good. So that is, every other week that, and then the week that he's with his mom, it is tough. I will find myself, working nonstop for long periods of time. But one of the things I've recently done, is printed out a large calendar. I went to the local print shop, and it's like 3 foot by 6 foot. It's massive, and it's the entire year. And so what I'm doing is I'm building this out, and I'm highlighting trips that I'm taking throughout the year, in specific colors, and so I've hung this up on the wall between my office and like my living area, right? So anytime I come out of there, it's visible. And so when I walk past it, I look at that and I think, oh shit, I've got this trip I'm that's coming up, and it kind of makes me excited. And so it kind of breaks the monotony of that. And in terms of one other little, a couple of them that I've been doing is every hour on the hour, because you're right, I do work from home. So every hour on the hour, I take 5 minutes and I either meditate or I'll do a 20-20-20, like push-ups, squats, and sit-ups, or anything just to move. So every hour on the hour, 5 minutes of either of those, and kind of alternate. That usually helps. Those are probably my top tips there.
And to dig in on your every hour on the hour, are you using an alarm, or is it just like watching the clock, or how do you usually do that?
Yeah, mental. For now, it's just kind of like, it's not methodical.
Okay.
It'd probably be next level to put a timer on, but yeah. I have my phone on D&D, so that is something else that I learned is between all the notifications, the Ring doorbell, like everything, my phone used to cut into my focus. So now my phone is off, so I don't like to have any kind of alarms or notifications. So it's usually mental. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's time.
Okay. Now let's do a little role play here. I'm going to be pre-firing the man Ken. All right, you're obviously post-firing the man Ken. I'm going to ask you some questions, and you hear the saying, like, if I could write a letter to myself. All right, so that's the responses I'm looking for here. So me being pre-firing the man Ken, I'm going to ask you. All right, so one thing I'm worried about that's preventing me from leaving my job is, what if my Amazon account gets shut down? So what would you say to that, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, sure. So a couple things. I have multiple Amazon accounts, and that there's services that you can go to get the account, not suspended or reinstated. So it's not a huge, issue. It is a fear. And the other thing is, there's other aspects that I'm working on. It's diversifying the business, having other sales channels coming in. So although that is a concern, I'm not, it's mitigated by having multiple accounts and having a network of people that I can reach out to and get the account reinstated, and having some cash reserves for that kind of a blip if it happens.
Okay. Another question pre-firing the man Ken may have had is one thing I like about my job is my paycheck shows up on the 1st and 15th every month. And I know what it's going to be, and I like that it's steady. And going out on my own, there's not going to be that stability. How would you respond to that?
Well, I pay myself now, so I can go in and pay myself anytime I want to. So it's actually there's more flexibility than I have now, and I think I'm going into month 8 now since leaving my job, and I've not missed payroll in 8 months. I'm not going to miss paying myself, right? Like my company would gladly not. My old company would gladly not pay me, but. So to answer your question is, payroll comes in every month and not a problem.
Okay. Another question you may have had is, one reason I don't want to leave my job is that I've heard a lot about specifically the Chinese will go over and take over your listings or sell a counterfeit product. And that really worries me. I've got a couple products that are doing really well, and I would be in big trouble if the Chinese came in and made counterfeit goods and were to try to either sell on my listing or to, try to introduce a new product that was exactly like mine. What would you say to that?
Sure. That threat always exists. Not only just the Chinese, but any nefarious sellers or whatever. I would say, I have brand registry, which blocks people from listing on my listings, and always improving my products, listening to the customers. Hey, this isn't working. Hey, we're having problems with this. So improving them. A lot of Chinese sellers they don't do that. They just go and see something that they can replicate and do it. And also, always expanding and doing and launching new products, launching new brands. Just always be moving in the right direction. If you stay idle and stagnant, that stuff that you were describing is going to hit you at some point. But if you're constantly improving and expanding, that kind of just fades away.
Okay. What about this? Hey, I heard that 90% of new businesses fail, and so statistically, if I fire the man, things are not going to pan out. How would you address that?
I would say, that's a pretty scary statistic. And so I'm in year 4. And so, I think that it's better than 90% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. I would say for me specifically, for us, anybody in e-commerce, it's a really, really good space to be in right now. I don't see the market penetration of e-commerce was like in the 20s of regular retail, and I see that, and that was in 2020. And I really, the market penetration of e-commerce accelerated last year during the pandemic, and it's going to continue to accelerate. So the market that I'm in is e-commerce has a lot of upside over the next decade, and I would say that through this journey, learning and figuring out what works, what doesn't, improving. And just slowly getting better. For me, there is no quit, there is no fail. You've seen the poster in my office. It's burn the boats, right? So I'm all in, I'm not looking back, and 100% of my energy is going to how can I improve and how can I get better. And I'm just not going to be that 90%, David.
Very nice, very nice. In watching you work and watching you build your brands, I don't think you will be either. I think a portion of that is people that give up. that they're a year into it, they haven't put any cash in their pocket, and they're wondering, what the heck am I doing? And I think small businesses fail for a number of reasons, but I think a good chunk of that is people that give up. And it's a bummer, because I think they're giving up at a period of time where, like, they're just about to make it. Like, they're just, if you just keep grinding, it's going to happen. I mean, it took me a lot longer than I thought it would to be, cash flow positive, being able to make some money, several years. And I think most people would have looked at me and thought, you're crazy for waking up every morning at 4 a.m. to work on this business. That's not producing any cash flow. But I believed in it, and here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I one other thing too is to follow up on that is, usually nothing easy in life is not going to be fast, right? It's a grind and it takes time, but it is possible if with hard work. And one other thing too is like, I think that's something that's really important, is surrounding yourself with like-minded, positive people. It's really helps. And through I heard someone say it the other day. It's called dark years, where nothing, like you mentioned, cash flow positive, blah blah blah. Well, that, like, if you're not cash flow positive, it can be like a dark year. You're just grinding away with nothing in return. But a lot of things that are worthwhile or profitable, there's going to be some dark years where you're going to have to put in that work and that time, that effort, and then eventually the light is going to come, right? Like it's going to be cash flow positive. So if you surround yourself with like-minded, positive people that are going to encourage you to push through those tough times, it's going to be really helpful.
For sure. One thing that I think may hold some people back from firing the man is it's kind of a built-in friend group, or maybe not friends, but like colleagues, human interaction. And e-commerce can be very lonely. And I know, we obviously have the podcast and different masterminds, but what have been some ways that you've gotten that, humans are social creatures? Like, how have you gotten to fill that void, in terms of like human interaction?
So, the last year has been, 2020, the pandemic's been a struggle, right? Because I haven't been able to go to conferences and meetups like the St. Louis meetup that you orchestrated. So it's been tough, but I've went to a couple of virtual conferences, and I'm in a couple of masterminds, and so we'll do Zoom meetups and different online meetups, and then I just have some friends and peers in the space that I keep in contact with, and we reach out like monthly, bi-monthly, and just have calls and communicate. Hey, what's working, what's not, how you doing? So yeah, I've kind of like switched my inner circle to more of people that I work with, because you're right, it is kind of a lonely environment, right? You work, you're a solopreneur, or even if you have people on your team, they're usually remote, right? So I just I'm involved in groups. I reach out more. I'm an introvert by nature, so I have to kind of force myself to put that stuff on a calendar, and that really helps me. Anything that's on my calendar, I'm going to do that. So if I know I need to do something, I'm like, hey, yeah, reach out to so and so, schedule a meeting with so and so. So kind of just force yourself to go out. And I would say in 2021, I think we'll see the return of some conferences, some events, and that's a really good way to surround yourself with with other like-minded people in the space, and that is huge. Networking is way bigger than like I said, I'm an introvert, and I didn't know the power of networking until about 2 years ago, and I'm trying to make up for lost time now. I would add one more thing to that. There's a new app called Clubhouse, and it's been kind of a game changer. I've only been on there a couple of weeks now, but it is for the audience who do not know what that is. It's basically like a voice chat room, and you have moderators, and they can mute and unmute people. So what you get is like you get really, really smart people, and you can go in there and kind of ask them questions, bounce questions off of them, and the groups and the rooms are designed by topic, So like the other day, I was in an entrepreneur room for mentors and millionaires and things, and it was like Damon John and Grant Cardone, and it's like, holy crap, and kind of listening to basically surrounding yourself with people in that space. And one other little bit of advice I heard the other day was kind of funny, but very true. It was, if you're not in the trenches, I don't want your advice. And I thought that really resonated with me, because you hear all these gurus and all these people, like, they're just like, some people are just float out advice. And at the end of the day, if you're not in the trenches doing shit, I don't want your advice. So.
All right, so Ken, you're 6 months out from firing the man, and obviously you and I are very heavily involved in Amazon, in reviews on Amazon, right? 4-star, 5-star review, that's very important. So there are some, sounds like there's a lot of positives to being out on your own. There's also some added risks, right? You don't have that steady paycheck coming in. You don't have the corporation to lean back on as it relates to health insurance. But overall, how would you rate this experience on a 1 to 5-star scale?
I would say an easy 5. Like nothing's been more powerful in my life than knowing that I can take care of myself and my family on my own. Like, that is very powerful. And one of the things that also I draw on is like, I didn't just forget everything that I've learned, right? Like, I was in technology for 20 years and a network engineer and blah blah blah. Like, that didn't go away. It's always there. So like, at the end of the day, it's like, that makes me even more confident. Like, so it's almost like climbing a mountain. The higher you get, if you don't like that elevation, you just step down a little bit, right? So, but to answer your question, is 5 stars. I one of my only drawbacks, maybe one of my only regrets is not doing it sooner.
Really?
Yeah.
How much sooner do you think you could have done and flourished?
So, I starting my business, I should have done that, earlier in my life. Is one of my regrets. I like exiting my day job. I think that you have to put these things in place of, what we talked about before. But I should have done it earlier. So if you're listening to this and you're debating on, I don't know if I want to start a business or not, do it. Just do it.
Well, Ken, congratulations. You're 6 months in. You haven't returned to the man, which is a vote of confidence for this path and for the advice that we give on the podcast. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.